Good morning, everyone. Will near know your good friend here with you today. Today is January the 9th, 2 days after the attempted coup on the in the United States of America, Washington, D.C., by the White Nationalist. People think Trump is the big guy, and everybody, Trump, Trump, Trump. We're going to have a different point of view today. This is my point of view. This is bigger than Trump, what you saw happen this week. Just by looking at how these people went into the citadel, this is what Joe Biden called it, the citadel of democracy. They broke in, went to the wall. They're going to be arrested because they didn't wear masks. As they wear masks, like to protect themselves from COVID, many of them would not be arrested. It tells you how smart they are. Why would they do that? They're not hiding anything. They want you to see them for who they are with the t-shirt. One guy had a t-shirt that said welcome to Auschwitz. Then another guy had a t-shirt that said 6 million is not enough. This is a white nationalist movement. If you think Trump is using these people, you're wrong. They're using Trump. Because Trump don't even fit as a white nationalist. Okay, you don't have Jared Kushner having babies with your daughter, and then you're going to be a white nationalist. This is Hitler we're talking about here. And this is the playbook that they're working with. Exactly the same Hitler playbook. How do you take over a government? And Donald Trump is only the elevator to get to that stage. Because as soon as they get to where they're going, Donald Trump gonna be fired. Then they're gonna be the real guy gonna show up. And this, when you're talking about white nationalism, okay, you see this relationship with Trump, with Vladimir Putin I don't know if I should call it of Russia, right? It is Russia. It's not the Soviet Union anymore. I made that mistake. People couldn't wait to beat me up for saying it on social media. But let me tell you something. This Trump is being used. You remember there was a guy in Trump cabinet.
Steve Bannon.
He's the one. He was the main representative. First, you had to have a president that don't know what he's doing, like Trump. Then the white national, but hated by black people and by because of Obama. So this is the war between the black control of the power to the white nationalists. So Obama did it. Now some white nationalists is thinking on how to do it. He cannot come with the Ku Klux Klan uniform and try to run for president. So he jumped in the back of a guy like Trump, who is a white nationalist wannabe. But what Trump is all about is money in his pocket. And he just loved to see a big crowd. If he see a lot of people, it could be in a room where there's like 90 people because you can put no more. He'll be very happy to tell you. He'll be on Twitter how many people. He loved to see a lot of people in front of him. And they're able to give him that because we not in this country right now after what just happened. You're gonna think you're gonna put 74 million people under the rug and forget them. And this is something this country gonna have to face. And when Biden is saying this is not who we are, it is who you are, my brother. You probably don't see yourself there, but we are. Because these people, they were American. Even though they were walking around with the Confederate flag, that doesn't mean they just want a different separation. But this time it's no separation. They try to take over the government. Okay, just like Hitler did. Next thing you know, they was gonna, and Giuliani was really the mastermind behind this. Then you have Steve Bannon. That's the guy, Steve Bannon, because they all bring in a group of people. Some of them don't like the war. They want the wall. They want a separation from, because the biggest part, they don't have no problem with the northern part, like with the Canadian, because this is all white. But if you start going to the south border, they want a wall, a real big wall, even though it's impossible to put a wall there. And they try to. Bannon stole people's money, bought a boat, they blow the money for to people who just would have paid them to put their own wall.
Gathering millions and millions of dollars to build a border wall with Mexico, and they have broken ground.
I have talked to the president in the last few weeks about this very construction site and told him all about it. He's very much in favor of it. And I've spoken to the president prior to that about We Built the Wall and the effort of private citizens to build border structures, and he's been very much in favor of it.
So let's go live now to CNN's Nick Valencia with more on this. Nick, thanks so much. So who's running this move and how much have they raised?
We heard there from Chris Kobach. He's one of the very prominent conservative names attached to this project, but the funding, the money was all crowdfunding, as you mentioned, Lynn. $20 million on a GoFundMe account started by a guy named Brian Kolfage. He is who I spoke to earlier today, and he says that they are building the wall because the politicians in Washington can't get enough done. He knows that the wall is controversial, and he says, though, that they've been given the blessing by the Department of Homeland Security, if you can believe it.
The government should be doing it, but it's not getting done. And we're not trying to build an entire southern border wall. This is protest wall. The president supports it. DHS supports it. So we've had the blessing of our government to move forward with this project.
And things are moving quite quickly, Lynn. You see video that our CNN crew shot just yesterday. The organization behind this is called We Build the Wall. They're partnering with a construction firm called Fisher Sand and Gravel. They're the ones that actually came up with the design. So it was earlier this year that the government put forward a proposal, a request for proposal for companies who said that they can build the wall. Fisher Sand and Gravel is one of those companies. They say they actually do it even better than the government in that the steel they use lasts for 75 years rather than around 35, which is what typically is the steel used right now on parts of the wall along the southern border. They also say they give technology, so there's a seismic reader in case someone tries to dig a tunnel underneath. They are standing behind this very controversial project.
Okay, and this is what the white nationalists gonna do. So after they take over the government, like me right now, we're having this conversation. My butt be in a concentration camp. Black people, Jews. Forget about if you're a Muslim, because as you could see, the first thing Trump did was to put a Muslim ban. He didn't want Muslim to come to this country. Listen, I'm not a religious guy, but when I see something like that, it hurt me. Because my whole life, I know so many Muslim being in New Yorker. But this guy was going to just stop them from coming here. So once the white nationalist government take over, those people, they're going to come and get you. Because we probably see a whole lot of black people. Okay, 12... I think the black population of the United States, you only represent 12% of the population. And they are almost a majority in their own way. But at the same time, we have a group, the amount of people here who love the capitalist system and democracy. Because those guys, they are not for no democracy. It's going to be, they was going to just stop the vote. That's dictate number one. Dictatorship. Flip the votes. Yes, Biden win. Okay, I don't care. They flip that. Then they put Trump. Once Trump is reelected, now they end. So now Trump gonna have to listen to them. Knowing Trump is crazy. Because he need his money. He need his power. So as soon as they get that part, the next thing is how do you replace him with this person? Or even if you're gonna keep him, how do you make him so you could work with him like a puppet? And this once they do that, then they could have the military on the ground in the ghetto arresting people. See what you see happen to George Floyd with the guy in your neck? It's like one morning you wake up and this become the law of the land. Yes, they could do that. So when they come get you, you better cooperate. Because if you don't, they don't care about if you live or die. I'm sure you see a lot of movies about World War II, and that's exactly what Hitler was doing. This is what they would do. The white nationalists, and they were using Trump. Trump wasn't using them. So what? 70 million people say buying a bunch of hats. Okay, you're putting millions of dollars. He could sell you tie. He could do that. But that's what he's looking at. He's looking at money. They're not. They're looking at politics. They're looking at controlling this country. So they both on two different tracks. And as soon as they manage to get it to where they want to have it, then they're going to put their real guy. Because they already have somebody. That somebody is not Trump. Trump is for now. Because once the white nationalists do his election, put his people, and what's so crazy, you see a lot of those guys you see in the White House, a lot of them are already elected to office. So you probably think you was looking at a bunch of guys who live in trailer parks, which there was a bunch of them there too. But a lot of them are not. Those are like the Haute État-Major, the Joint Chief of Staff of the white nationalist movement was behind this. When they get inside the palace, they didn't break anything. You know, if it was Black Lives Matter, they would have been burning everything in there. That place would have been on fire. Word up. But they didn't do that. At one point, they were walking like it was a tour. But they wasn't going to let nobody stop them. And they didn't wear masks. So they wasn't hiding their faces. Because it's part of their publicity. So people could see who they are. Like that guy with that horn. Remember him? You know what he represent? Probably a black guy like me, always thinking about Africa. Those guys, this is their Africa. The motherland. Aryan. You gotta read about those things. Words like that, you need to learn. Because you live in the United States. These people, even if they left Washington, they didn't leave United States. They still here. They are neighbors. They're driving around in pickup trucks with those Confederate flags on them. They're everywhere. And they got their biggest publicity on the 6th of January 2021. And for that reason, anybody who's trying to protect Trump and not really give him a second impeachment, you are guilty. Trump should be impeached. He should have been impeached before because you was claiming you didn't have no evidence. Now you have the evidence. So if you tell me you're not going to impeach him, you just in there with him. Because those people, you are their representative. You are part of a white nationalist movement. Let's call it what it is. And that's basically what you're doing. Okay? So any politician who's going to tell me, oh, you could... Okay, that 25th Amendment, for me, is stupid. It's not for that. Because you cannot tell me he's crazy. So that if you did that, then you couldn't judge him because you would admit that he's incapacitated. That means he's sick. It was made for if the president gets sick. If that's the case, then you elected him sick. Because it's been just like that ever since he's been here. So now you want to pull him out and telling me that he's sick? No. You want to impeach him. You want to impeach the white nationalists for what they're doing. It's not that. Let me tell you something. I'm an equal and I'm going to be fair. And I know most people, I don't talk because I want people to agree with me. People have their own opinion. Those people who went into the Capitol, they were white American. Okay, and they are, I'm American. Okay, they are the real American. Even though some guy gonna say, yeah, I did Native American, as to what you call Indian. No. But did the next thing to that. And especially the southern guys you see here with those Confederate flags. And their parents been here for a long, long time. And it's been just like that. But thanks God, this country, you got the North and you got the South. So even Mother Nature had already figured that those people were not going to be really in harmony with each other. Because the northern white don't see it that way. Those guys, they are part of they are the descendant of the Confederacy. But when you see them showing those flags and doing all these crazy things they're doing, they're letting black people know that if it was up to me, you would be a slave or you wouldn't be here. So, Wilner, are you listening? If it was for me, when you see them hold that flag, then you wouldn't be here. I understand. The only problem is I cannot make them go away. So therefore, there should be a dialogue. If you're listening, I'm open. You could write under my Facebook. But make sense. Don't just come there and try to tell me, well, now I want to kill you. No, you could do more than 2 lines. Explain to me why a country with a democracy, with constitution, okay, with the Supreme Court, you would want to abolish all that and give all that power to one person who could dictate everything. No election. That's what you want to turn this into. Okay, you could try because you're ignorant. But there's something bigger than the presidency in the United States of America. The number 1 capitalist country in addition to democracy. Now let's talk about money now. This is the most powerful country in the world. You know, like, for instance, we have a bunch of aircraft carriers. China, which is the second who's trying to catch up with us militarily, I think they have 1. We control space. And every time you see like North Korea is talking like this, oh, I got missile, I got this. We don't say that. And they're saying that to let us know so we could start here. You're not going to have that with Biden, like Trump was doing. Because even the Soviet Union, Russia, this government let these guys into our computer network. A couple of months ago, we knew it happened. You heard of somebody coming out and say they fixed it? That means if they're in there, they're still in there. Until somebody come out and say, okay, we got that rid of them. Because I still didn't hear somebody say that. And they managed to get, just like you see when they got into Washington, and the communication system just went crazy. First of all, if they control your computer, your email and everything else, okay, they start say, we're not going to need that many police officers in the street. And it could be one of them, because this is coming down from the president. So when somebody's telling you, if it was Black Lives Matter who did this, they would have killed them. Yes, they would. And even black police officers would have been killing them. But you know why? Because who gave Black Lives Matter the order to go inside the Capitol building? Who? But those people last week, They had their marching order from the most powerful men in the world. And I'm sure a lot of people think the Pope is the most powerful man in the world. The Pope don't have an army. He got no nuclear weapon. He got a bunch of Swiss guard walking around with a big stick. This guy got submarine. It's like you're talking about having you got missile and you got submarine who could fire a missile anywhere and very accurate. It could be right there in this room, and that's how it is. This is the power he got, and those white nationalists. This is the power they want to give him because this is that top of the pyramid. It's like everything goes right to the bottom of that until they get control of the perimeter. And they got, when I say perimeter, I'm talking about the United States of America perimeter, meaning the Mexican and that coming up, and those who are in, you're under lockdown, and they're gonna start the extermination. Like that guy said, welcome to Auschwitz. Except this time it's not gonna be Jews, it's gonna be like everybody else. Now, do you see why you have to get rid of Trump? It's like, let me tell you something, knowing Trump, right now, Trump, I know you watch it, my brother, but I bet you're probably right now sitting somewhere and having somebody, you're probably buying a bunch of government land for $1.50. And I'm not talking about an acre. I'm talking about $1.50 for millions of acres. Because after, and you could spend this whole week doing that. Because when he finish, you're going to see a bunch of golf courses owned by Trump. And everywhere there used to be a government land, watch. And he could actually sell himself some oil field that belonged to the government. I hope he don't try to sell himself a military base with the name of a Confederate general. But it's not impossible. So when you keeping him in there for the next 12 days, these are little things like that he could be doing. He could actually send somebody to pick somebody up. He got that power. And you're just sitting there and then there's a big Uber. You think it's an Uber. It's not. Just because it's a big black SUV. It's Secret Service that he sent to pick you up. Now you see why you don't want to keep him? So you're going to tell me you think that you need Trump in the White House? I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't mind if you put Pence. I'm okay with Pence. I don't want Trump. And I think Pence I respect Pence after what happened. I don't care what anybody said. You say he did his duty, what he had to do. He had to be loyal to the president. Yes. But he didn't break the law for the president. The president didn't tell him to drop off a building. He didn't do it. So I respect the man as a Republican. Because I am a Republican after all. Okay? So please, the notion that you're going to tell me that you keeping him because it's only 12 days, there's not enough time. No. You're going to impeach him and you don't ever want him to come back and participate in no more election. His people are going to have to find somebody else. And let's hope nobody tried to be a carbon copy of what just happened. Okay? Because let me tell you something. There's something bigger than all of this, is what you call the military-industrial complex of the United States of America. Okay? When you hear of Sperry Corporation, Boeing, General Dynamic, and then there's the military-industrial complex. This is bigger than the president. And this is what those white nationalists would have problem with. And this is what's so good about this country. You got the Supreme Court. Trump wasn't successful with the Supreme Court. And that's why they tried to then break in and take it over. So the system worked. And if he's still argument for him to stay there and be president and still have the power of a president, it's like you're telling me, we just write all things. If Trump want to launch a nuclear strike, he don't need the military because he got control of the system. In the system that he got control of, you cannot bypass it. Okay? He could launch missile. He could give orders. A lot of the submarine and some of those guys, you're gonna override the president order? If a submarine sitting right there in the port of Philadelphia, and then I'm sitting here talking, and the president of the United States could order a submarine to shut me up right now. And it could happen so quick. Or even the F-16. Just dropping a bomb. So you're going to tell me, oh, he got 12 days. What if okay, you see those guys? Now think about those same guys. If they did a deal with the president to take over a military base, those groups, and Trump could actually tell them people to stand down and let those guys in. The next thing you know, you see every one of them driving a Jeep, walking around with a launcher, armed with military-style weapon, even little baby missiles. So you're going to tell me that's why you're keeping him? You want to give him that power? We stupid. We always have to wait for something to happen and then to come back and do this. And when you see those guys breaking into those doors in the White House and doing all this thing that they did, because you have to realize, you see they didn't burn it down because they needed it so they could inaugurate Trump. And that order went down. As you could see, nothing was broken. Okay? They went in there, they went to Pelosi, they stole her computer. One guy sat on her desk. That guy didn't destroy her desk. And he didn't wear a mask. And what happened there? You're gonna tell Trump should be out right now as we speak. Just wait for him to do something crazy. Knowing Trump, he probably buying land, government land. Like there's a park somewhere, let's buy it for $2.50. Because I could put a hotel there. He got that power. It could have been some resort that the government seized from somebody for tax. He's buying it from the government for $3. You gonna stop him? But if he does that, you are accomplice to what he's doing for keeping him there. That's my point. And those white nationalists, we're gonna have to have some kind of dialogue with them because they're not gonna go away. We're not gonna let them take over the government. But what do we do with them? We're gonna have to educate that many people and show them that they're in the wrong path. And this is something we have to start working on real fast. Because the notion that you're gonna put people in concentration camp and be the world's biggest economic power in the world is a no-no. Because Germany gonna stop doing business with you. Latin America gonna stop doing business with you. Everybody gonna stop. Then you're gonna have a collapsed economy. You're gonna be isolated. You think that's good? So what, you're gonna create poverty? Okay, so I'm talking to you, idiot, who think you want to be a white nationalist or want to listen to those people. Or even Fox News. Not even, I mean, the news department give you the good information. But when it comes to those idiots' heads, the Rush Limbaugh, the Sean Hannity of the world, who's talking a whole lot of those things, and they are a tool of the white nationalist movement, the Tea Party. Come on, guys. Are you serious? And you think somebody come up with something called Black Lives Matter and you have a problem with that? Are you serious? Yes, Black Lives Matter. I don't know, man. Anyway, let me say this to you people. I want you to support my charity. It's called Food for the Poor. It's not that I'm working for them or anything, but they are the one that I believe in because they're doing a very good job. And for poor people around the world. Even you guys, white nationalists, you could send some money instead of sending that money to Trump that you're sending that $25 because you're just making them richer. Maybe you should give it to Food for the Poor because they're helping real poor people around the world and all the good people. Thank you very much for your attention. Trump has to go.